Tory Burch Flats. She definitely looked like she was going somewhere, not just out to walk a dog. I knew you weren't listening. I asked you the other night if you minded if Jake came to pick up Mac from the store today. Tracy is picking me up here to go to Palm Springs for the weekend. We still have to get Lori, and traffic is going... Hold up. I put my hand in the air and gave her a scowl of my own. Was she trying to pull a fast one on me? I looked down at the old dog, who was now panting heavily at my feet. What do you want me to do with a dog? He'll get hair everywhere, run around wagging his tail, knocking knickknacks off shelves. Be Goods is a fine home accessory boutique, Liz, and I am not a dog sitter. I don't know anything about dogs. I've never had a dog in my life. What am I supposed to do with Jack? Not Jack. Mac. Like the cosmetic store, but with a K at the end. Lizzie bit her bottom lip, and much to my horror, it trembled. She took her glasses off and daintily wiped at the corner of her eye. I'm sorry, Bran. I shouldn't have asked you when you were distracted. I swear I'm not trying to take advantage of you, but the reason I asked you in the first place is that you're so good with animals and... Me? I asked incredulously. Yes, you. You're always so sweet to all the little dogs that come into the store. Dogs don't come into my store, Liz. They are carried in pretty designer bags. Your friend Mac here is supersized. No offense, big guy. I looked down at the dog sitting patiently between us as we discussed his fate for the next hour or so. I know. Please, Brandon, he's really the sweetest thing. He's just an old lab. Jake doesn't like leaving him for long stretches, but I promise it's not because he tears up furniture or eats trash. Well, not much trash. Mac's 13. He doesn't have the energy to get into mischief like he used to. Right, Mackie? Lizzie scratched behind Mac's ears playfully. He made a blissful, mewling sound as he leaned into her touch. His tail swished from side to side happily. He didn't look like trouble. He looked sweet. I sighed heavily and shook my head. God, I was a sucker. Okay, fine. Oh, Brandon, you're the best. Lizzie threw her skinny arms around my neck and kissed my cheek. I owe you one. I'll text you Jake's cell number in case of emergency, but of course there won't be one. This will be super easy peasy. A car honked and Liz turned toward the sound. That's Tracy. I have to go. Thanks again. Be an angel for Mr. Good, Mac. She pushed the leash into my hands and offered me another winning smile before skipping toward the waiting car. Wait, am I supposed to feed him? How will I know who Jake is? Instructions? He doesn't need any food, but please give him water. And Jake is dreamy. Trust me, you'll know him the minute he steps in the store. Toodles! I stared after the departing car for a long moment before looking down at my new charge. He gave me a barely curious glance and picked up his right paw to itch his ear. In other words, he wasn't impressed. Listen, Mac, I'm fairly easygoing, but I have to lay down a couple rules. He spared me another brief look. No monkey business in my store. I run a tight ship. Don't knock anything over, don't run, and if you can help it, don't shed. I understand you can't control everything, but manners are a must. Are we clear? I waited a couple beats before tugging my canine companion toward the entrance. I'm going to take your silence as a yes. Come on. Mr. Gowan pushed open the door to Be Goods just before I got there. He was wearing a wide, happy grin and carrying 3 large bags. Nice job, Lorenzo. The old man waved a cheery farewell in my direction. I grabbed the door before it closed and bustled Mac inside. Lorenzo greeted me with an enormous smile, which quickly morphed into a puzzled frown. Who is these? He asked as he presented his right hand to Mac to sniff. I hadn't thought to do that. It was easy to tell I was a novice dog sitter. Mac, who was waiting for a guy named Jake. I rolled my eyes theatrically. I'm the sucker who agreed to keep him company until he gets here. Lorenzo stooped in front of Mac and petted him gently, murmuring sweet nothings to the regal lab. He's a beauty. I love the color of his coat. His white face isn't quite as noticeable because of the light yellow fur, you know. I wouldn't know. We struck a bargain, and all I care about is that he sticks to his end until his supposedly hot owner comes to pick him up. Right, Mac? The dog's ears perked up, giving him an almost puppy-like look. Lorenzo noticed and instantly melted, cooing over and over. Oh, such a pretty boy. Is that what Mr. Gowan said to you, Lo? Lorenzo giggled good-naturedly. Well, he might have if I thrown in a blowjob, but my man wouldn't appreciate me selling my services along with $3,000 worth of merchandise. Yes, you heard me. He jumped up and spun in a circle to do an impromptu dance. The guy was fit, lean, and moved like a pro. Lorenzo, or Lo, as he was known to his friends and co-workers, was 5'7" tops, with olive skin, dark eyes, and chiseled features. He was a bona fide Latin cutie. I laughed as I led Mac behind the counter. I couldn't think of where else to keep him, and it was apparent Lizzie hadn't been exaggerating about the dog's low energy. Maybe this wouldn't be so terrible after all. I've got to run. Tony's waiting for me. You can tell me how much you appreciate my mad sales skills tomorrow. How about a latte? Make it an extra large and hold your phone. Take care of the store, Mac. Lo blew me a kiss as he left. Looks like it's just you and me. I glanced down warily at my charge. I should probably get you some water, huh? Even the little pipsqueak pups who come into the store want a drink every once in a while. I'm guessing larger guys need more. And no, I'm not suggesting you need to lose weight. You're fabulous. At least that's what Lizzie tells me. Now sit like a good boy. Better yet, lie down. I'll find a bowl and bring you some refreshment. I dropped the leash and backed away slowly. He seemed docile, but what did I know? I found the blue porcelain bowl I used for my canine visitors. It was small, but Mac wasn't staying for long, so I thought it would do the trick. When I returned to the register with the water, there was no sign of my new guest. My eyes widened and my heart skipped a beat. What the fuck? I'd left the room for seconds. Mac! Come here, boy. That's a good... Mac! He turned to give me a bored stare before he went back to sniffing the hand-blown glass vase on a low table. When he lost interest in the pricey, inanimate object, he moved on to the next vignette. I caught on he was getting the sense of his surroundings, but I still hovered like a protective parent, ready to throw my body between him and my expensive collection of knickknacks if needed. The store wasn't as busy as it normally was on a Friday before closing. I had a few customers, but not so many I couldn't handle them on my own while keeping an eye on the old yellow lab. Those who did come into the store immediately noticed Mac and seemingly fell into insta-love. He received so much attention, it was kind of funny. He took the sometimes over-the-top adoration in stride, but other than wagging his tail enthusiastically, he wasn't doing any tricks. He spent most of his time sitting or lying in front of the register, so he had a clear view of the door. I tried to coerce him behind the counter, but he seemed very particular about his spot. At closing time, I flipped the sign on the front window, locked the door, turned on some happy dance music, and began the nightly chore of going through sales receipts. Mac watched my movements, but lay passively nearby. When one of my favorite songs came on, I impulsively set the paperwork aside and danced around the counter. I threw my hands in the air and shook my ass in time with the happy pop tune, thinking I may as well start getting in the mood now for a night on the town. Mac lifted one brow and tilted his head to the right as though he worried about my sanity. The gentle sway of his tail told me he didn't mind if I was slightly batty, though. I turned in a circle, clapping my hands and singing aloud to the upbeat lyrics. I was finishing up the bridge and moving back to the chorus when Mac startled me with a bark. He stood and wagged his tail incessantly as he made his way to the front door. I turned to see who my competition was and gave a sheepish grin and wave at the figure standing outside. Must be the hunky fireman come to rescue his poor pup. I rushed to turn the music down, then headed back to unlock the door and usher Mac's daddy inside. Hello, you must be here for... The old dog, who'd barely had enough pep to walk from one end of the store to the other, suddenly barreled past my legs, almost knocking me over. Though I was on the thin side, I wasn't easily upended. Mac, however, was on a mission. I chuckled at his exuberance and got out of the way, as man and dog greeted one another like long-lost friends. The man knelt on one knee and let him shower his face with loving licks. I couldn't help smiling widely at the sight. It was cute. A little gross, but cute. Well, someone is happy to see you. The man glanced up at me briefly and grinned. I guess so. It's been a whole 8 hours, right, buddy? Mac's owner had wavy, dark blonde hair. I noted his brilliant blue eyes when he glanced up at me, but I'd yet to get a good look at him. I could tell he had broad shoulders and a muscular build, and was that a tattoo on his left bicep peeking out under that snugly fitted black t-shirt? I had a feeling I was going to agree with Lizzie's assertion the fireman was delicious. When he stood up, he wiped his right hand on his jeans and chuckled as he extended it for me to take. I looked at his hand and then up at him as if to say, not necessary, but I stopped. In fact, everything stopped, including my heart. Sorry, he gets a little excited Brandon? Is that really you? No way. No fucking way, this was not possible. When my heart decided to resume beating, it was at a fast and furious pace. I felt lightheaded as I struggled to find words. So unlike me. I opened my mouth and closed it a moment later. Nothing. I was at a complete loss. Jake Westley. Lizzie had said Mac's owner was a man named Jake. What were the odds Mac's Jake had once been my Jake? I shook my head to clear the fog and bring my thoughts into focus. That was a long time ago, a lifetime ago. I licked my lips nervously and stepped back. Wow, this is a surprise. I offered a small smile, but was pretty sure it didn't translate as a sincere gesture. Jake took a step closer like he wanted to greet me properly with a hug. I sidestepped him and walked over to the register to strike a leisurely pose against the concrete countertop. I was working hard to give the vibe that running into my very first everything wasn't the slightest bit of a bother to me. Why did he have to look so damn gorgeous after all these years? He swallowed hard as though he was suddenly nervous too. For some reason, that leveled the playing field a bit. I sighed and finally found my voice. How have you been? Good. You? I haven't seen you since... Yeah, it's been a while. I interrupted. We were not going there. The past was done, over. It was never to be brought back out to chat about like the fucking weather. Live in the moment and move forward. That was my motto, and I wasn't making any exceptions for an old flame. Particularly not this one. Lizzie told me you're a firefighter? Yes. I just transferred to the West Hollywood station on San Vicente a few months ago. I've been living in Oxnard. Wonderful! Welcome to the neighborhood. Mac was very well behaved, and it was a pleasure having him around this afternoon. Let me grab his leash for you. I turned away, but was stopped by a hand on my arm. Wait! Look, this is crazy, running into you like this. He swallowed again and looked down at Mac as though he might offer inspiration. Brandon, are you free to... No, I'm sorry. I'm not. Sorry, you're busy. I get it, but... I rushed over to grab the leash and handed it to Jake. He thanked me, but didn't turn away. Yes, busy. I'll see you around. I grinned with false cheer and moved toward the front door. Obviously, I was going to have to shove him and the dog out of the damn store. He stopped to stare deeply into my eyes for a long moment. I was a respectable 5'10", but I was lean. Jake easily had me by 3 inches and 20 pounds. I doubted I could shove him out the door if I tried, so I waited patiently for him to say his piece and get the fuck out.